Starting this hour in the United States, where, according to some estimates, there have now been 200 mass shootings so far this year. The White House has announced that President Biden will visit the US city of Buffalo, where on Saturday a gunman killed 10 people at a supermarket. Most of them were black, in a case of suspected racially motivated terrorism. Details have been emerging about the suspect, 18-year-old Payton Gendron, as our correspondent Will Grant reports.
Once again, one man's deep-seated racism and easy access to semi-automatic weapons have combined to deadly effect in America. 18-year-old Payton Gendron drove for miles to reach this supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood of Buffalo. Heavily armed and dressed in tactical gear, he live-streamed his entire horrific attack. The killing spree began in the car park, where 4 people were killed, before he entered the building and continued his rampage. A security guard, a retired Buffalo policeman, tried to stop him, but was among those killed. Most of the victims were black. Before the attack, the gunman posted a kind of manifesto online, a hate-filled screed laying bare his extremist views. Outside the supermarket, Gendron was disarmed, taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. In court, his lawyer entered a not guilty plea. Now new and difficult questions have emerged. After threatening such violence last year, the gunman was held by the authorities for a mental health evaluation, then released. A further blow to this tight-knit community, torn apart by a teenager with a gun. Will Grant, BBC News.
Earlier I spoke to Reverend Michael McBride. He is the founder of Live Free. It's involved in trying to prevent gun violence. I asked him what he knew about the impact the shooting was having on the community in Buffalo.
Our hearts go out to all of our loved ones in Buffalo, New York. We have a whole host of congregations, of staff members who are literally in the neighborhoods. They lived right around the corner, some across the street from the store when this shooting happened. Buffalo Voice is one of our organizations. Reverend Denise Walden has already lost 2 teenagers. We know individuals like Pearlie Young, Aaron Salter, Catherine Massey. We're devastated. Our hearts are broken. This hatred, this violence, this racialized, anti-Black sentiments that are being now upheld through systemic, structural, and now interpersonal violence by weapons. It's a devastating day for many of us all across this country, particularly in Buffalo, New York.
And I know you've been in contact with the White House about making sure that the appropriate resources are in place. Talk to me a little bit about what those resources will be and what is most needed in the community right now.
Well, yes, we've been having, ongoing conversations with the White House, with the Department of Justice. What we know is that this anti-Black racial animus is not an outlier. There are hate crimes that are just spiking right now all throughout the country. We believe this is a residue, and if not a continued extension of the Trump administration's and their Make America Great Again movement that are fomenting anti-Black racism, xenophobia, etc. Our people in our communities need trauma healing services. We need it to be culturally responsive. And so we've been talking to the White House about how, and the state public health systems, how do we scale up public health intervention and healing services? The store in Buffalo, New York that was impacted, the only store in this neighborhood. We have what we call in the United States food deserts, literally one store for a whole community. That store is shut down for a week. So we've been talking about making sure we can have food distribution centers, and there have been great partnerships being made with supermarkets and others in the neighborhood to set up some online delivery services, et cetera. But more than anything, we need the Department of Justice to investigate the continued rise of hatred and anti-Black virulence that is literally online in the social media platforms, militias. This stuff in our country it's spilling over, and many of us do not feel safe or protected. So those are some of the conversations that we're having in an ongoing way.
That's Michael McBride there from the Live Free group, and that's relating to the situation and that shooting in Buffalo in New York. Meanwhile, one person was killed in a shooting at a church near Los Angeles. 4 others were critically wounded. The gunman was tackled by members of the congregation and detained outside the Presbyterian Church in Laguna Woods in Orange County. Well, police said an Asian man in his 60s opened fire on the congregation. It was made up of about 30 or 40, mostly Taiwanese people.
We believe a group of churchgoers detained him and hogtied his legs with an extension cord and confiscated at least 2 weapons from him. He was detained when the deputies arrived. That group of churchgoers displayed what we believe is exceptional heroism and bravery in intervening to stop the suspect. They undoubtedly prevented additional injuries and fatalities.